Sharon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm feeling a little philosophical today, and I've really been thinking about the passing of time. I have my half-hour glass here just trickling away, and I find it quite relaxing to just see the grains trickling away. But there is an element of stress there, because I just think, oh, the time's just ticking away and I'm not getting done what I want to get done, and so on. So I'm not sure if that's always helpful, but I'm developing a half-baked theory that time just goes quicker now. And I don't mean just because, I'm getting older and I've got more things to do with my time. I know that people say they remember school holidays from when they were young children and they seem to last for eternity and so on. I don't have those sorts of memories. I don't mean that. I just think that in this present age, compared to bygone eras, I just feel that time just slips away into nothing. I'm sure every 24 hours is the same, but maybe it's the perception of time that just seems to disappear into thin air. It runs through your fingers like water. And I've been thinking about some of the greats in history, and I just feel that I'm sure they felt they had more time to be undisturbed, deep work, study and so on. And some of the examples that I've been thinking through as I've just been browsing through my bookcases. So I have here an opera that I studied, Mozart's Marriage of Figaro. I did this when I was doing my A-levels, and it's a vast work. It's one of my favourite pieces still, so studying it didn't ruin it at all. It just made me love it more and more. And you'd think this was a life's work, and yet we know that that's not true. In Mozart's short life, he was a prolific composer, and all of his works were marvels and masterpieces. So it isn't just a one-off. This is one of many. And I know that Mendelssohn was a similar such composer in a later period of music. That there are many like that. But Mozart and Mendelssohn do stand out particularly. And then moving away from music into some of the other disciplines. So Gray's Anatomy is a vast work on anatomy of the human body, particularly relating to surgery practices. And I think this was first compiled in the 1800s. Let me see. Yeah, 1858. The pioneering edge of surgery. And it's a vast piece. And what kind of depth of concentration must you have had? How many hours in his study must have been spent building this work? And then moving on, I'll just bring reference to Leonardo da Vinci. He's one of my favourite artists. This is one of my husband's books. And it's just a most compelling character. And, his art is amazing. We did go to Paris once, years and years ago, in the hopes of going to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa in the flesh. And we got there, and the queues were just so vast to queue up to see this one piece that we particularly wanted to see. And we just thought, we're only in Paris for a couple of days, really. I'm not spending the whole morning queuing. So we didn't see it in the end. I don't know if I'm a bit regretful of that now. Perhaps we should have stuck it out, but we saw lots of other things instead. And Leonardo da Vinci was a genius, wasn't he? He was a wonder, and he has so many fine works of art. The time and dedication and skill to perfect his craft. But it wasn't just art. He was a scientist, he was an inventor. There's a story of when he was an apprentice, he was sent on a joke errand. We hear stories of all these standard practices. I know my dad said he remembers being sent for a long wait or go and fetch a sky hook and things like that. And in a similar vein, Leonardo da Vinci was sent to the colourist because back then you had to either mix your own paints using egg tempera, or you'd go to somebody who would do that for you. And he was sent to fetch some striped paint. And, there were smirks and giggles, and he was told to wait. And so he waited, and then after a while they came back and said, oh, we haven't got any. And I don't know, maybe he suspected something was afoot. But either way, he just thought, no, I can't go back with none. I'm not willing to let this pass. So he said, right, okay, go and get me these different colours and fetch me the egg white, which was the basis for the paints that they used. And he laid out strips of each colour and separated them with the egg whites and kept building up layers and layers, and went back with a stash of striped paint. And suffice to say, he didn't get sent on such errands again, and I've no doubt that his kudos ratings went through the roof there, so he got the last laugh in this case. And I know that I've heard that there's now a shortage of inventors simply because people don't have the time to just sit and reflect and think, I could improve that. That isn't working quite right. How can I find a way around that? How can I invent an improvement or something completely new? And that just isn't happening these days. And I don't know if it's because we've lost interest, we're just used to the convenience of things being there for us, or if we just haven't got the brain space to think. And I just think that perhaps we have lost that sense of space and quiet and undisturbed time. If you've ever read the Narnia Chronicles, I think it's in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, Peter the eldest, he refers to when they get sort of suddenly sucked back into Narnia. I don't know which book it is actually. They get sucked back into Narnia, with no warning at all. And so one second they're waiting to jump on a train to go to school, and then the next, they're in a wood with nymphs and lions and goodness knows what. And he said it's like when father complains about the phone ringing and disturbing him for his work. And back then, I'm sure, if you were even fortunate enough to have a phone, it would be one telephone in the hallway that would ring occasionally. It would not be mobile phones, texts, emails, and so on. And I wonder if we've just lost that capacity, or, well, we haven't lost it, but we forget it, for deep work. And so, the time just keeps slipping away, and by the time you've scrolled a bit and you've done this, and where have those long hours of undisturbed deep work got to? We're only doing fragments and superficial, really. And I think if we can be aware of that, that's half the battle, isn't it? And I know that business models suggest that you set aside time for deep work, and I think we've got to detox a little bit. And so if you can't manage the thought of 4 hours of complete silence, do not disturb on the door, and so on, if that's just too much, just start with half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever it is that you can cope with. And they say set a timer, or they do say just have one of these to give you a half-hour chunk. I don't think I could work with one of these going to do my timing, because I'd be spending more time concentrating. Oh, how's that? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm all right yet. Or I'd get carried away, and then this grains have all long gone, and I guess that would be okay, but I'd be more sidetracked by trying to find how long have I got, or I'd just be distracted and stressed watching that. I guess you could use your phone, put everything else on airplane mode, and just have a timer, or just have a cooking timer to sort of, it will buzz or ring when you've done the set amount of time. And I think, these greats of history are very motivating. It's motivational lives here that can just encourage us to not get swept along by the tide of modern society. And it's certainly motivating, and I think it's very, very inspiring as well. And there's something within me that longs for their dedication and concentration, and I think it's worthwhile to just be aware that we can so easily get dissipated, that we don't achieve what we want to achieve. So I think it's just being mindful that, you know, the grains are slipping away and we only get the same amount of hours in each day, the same amount of minutes per hour and so on, but we can just let them slip away if we're not careful. So perhaps you can join me in my half-baked philosophy and take from it whatever helps you, and just be inspired, be motivated, and just be aware that time is precious. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.